Okay, alright. Episode 8, The Queen Who Ever Was. The season finale, baby. This season has been a slow burn so far. Sadly, because of the writer strikes, among other problems, this season was cut short to episodes. Which sparked most of the complaints I'd say about this season. Sadly, it was not really up to the producers of the show, and it hurt the finale for sure. I feel like this finale wasn't really a finale. It did not feel like a finale whatsoever. You'll see what I mean here shortly. We get an update on Thailand. It's so funny seeing these pretentious lords of Westeros having to deal with the lowly little pirates. He has no idea what to do with these guys. He does come to an agreement though. If the Triarchy is given the Stepstones, they will fight for the Greens. Also, Commander Lohar must travel with Thailand. Aemond, our boy Aemond, doing what he does best. Being an absolute edgelord, he has targeted Sharp Point, including all of the little peasants inside. He burned them with Vhagar. Now, I've seen complaints online on why Aemond didn't target the blockade. That's causing such a mess in King's Landing. I don't know if people know how blockades work, but it's the ocean, bro. There's no wall or anything really to burn down. A blockade works with several ships at a time that patrol areas, stopping from anyone crossing the designated area that they're blocking off. Now, Vhagar could definitely burn a few ships, but I'm pretty sure Rhaenys said that she was patrolling the blockade as well. I doubt she was the only dragon rider doing so. I think another character, I forgot her name, she was patrolling as well. So it's not really having the biggest dragon on the continent just flying around burning random ships in the ocean doesn't sound like a good plan. Vhagar could be doing much more different things than just flying around. Sharp Point, however, belongs to the house of one of Rhaenyra's counselors. That's why Aemond targeted the council. That and he was a little angry. Being a little edgelord, he's a little angry boy, and he needed something to take out his anger on. Loras visits Aegon while he's recovering from his wounds. Our neighborhood snake wants to leave King's Landing with Aegon. He tells Aegon that Rhaenyra has found new riders for her dragons. They plan on leaving to Braavos for the time being and wait for the moment to strike when the others are weakened. Sounds like everyone's strategy when things are going to shit, they just go to Essos. Essos is just like the go-to place to escape to, I guess. This whole Loras Aegon thing seems to be very interesting. I'm very curious on what's going to happen between Loras and Aegon in future seasons, honestly. Aegon is a very interesting character. He's far more interesting, in my personal, humble opinion, than characters who are simply psychotic just to be psychotic, like that little blonde bastard from the original show, Joffrey.
They attacked me!
They threw a cow pie at you, so you decide to kill them all. They're starving, you fool, all because of a war you started.
You're talking to a king!
Shut up, bitch!
Joffrey was just an antagonist, he was just literally a psychopath. I think in the books specifically, the books describe Joffrey not really understanding things. He, as a child, Joffrey gutted a mother cat who was pregnant with her kittens.
Huh?
To show how strong he was to his father, Robert Baratheon. And he was a very classic psychopath. Joffrey just did not understand how to be a human. But Aegon, I'd say, is much more of a symptom of the overall problems of political intrigue of King's Landing. I think Aegon is definitely an outcome of his environment. And I think Aegon, raised in a better situation, a better environment, would have turned out just fine, And I think that no hate on Joffrey. Joffrey is just fine where he's at. There's no problem with the character of Joffrey. He does his job just fine in the story of Game of Thrones. However, I think what they did with Aegon makes him a far more interesting character. Not really a character to root for by any stretch of the imagination, but Aegon just has a lot more depth to his character, in my opinion. Joffrey was a little demon. Hawk, can you stop Thank you. Rhaena Targaryen ran away from her little escort last episode. Did I mention it? No, of course not. This might be the most boring part of the season. I won't lie. I don't really know what they really had planned going on here. I really like this area of Westeros, I will say that, but I find Rhaena and her whole journey with the eggs extremely boring. I didn't care about Rhaena to begin with, or her sister really. They're just side characters that don't really have a whole lot of plot. And I wouldn't really be complaining that much about this. If we didn't see her that much, you know, I don't know why they put so much, I don't know. I wouldn't be complaining this much if they, like, didn't try that hard at Rhaena's whole plot. You know, I just, Apparently, there's a wild dragon roaming around the Vale. That's not accurate to the lore whatsoever. Dragons don't migrate. If they could, they'd be fucking everywhere. Not just Valyria back in the day. I can excuse it though. I'm not that nitpicky with the lore, okay? A dragon flies around, sure. Though, it does not correlate with the lore whatsoever. The dragons, at this point in time, stay at Dragonstone, the wild ones, in fact, or around Dragonstone. Before leaving the Vale, Rhaena ran off to find this dragon, and her arc is her running around aimlessly until she comes around a random ass corner, and the dragon is just there.
Oh, hi, Mark.
This arc seems lazy as hell to me. I know last season she was the one kid that never got a dragon, so this is a nice way to wrap up that arc, but there's no substance to it. She just wanders around and finds the dragon. That's it.
Oh my god!
We don't see her tame it or anything, because this is the fucking finale. Just her dumb face looking shocked. That is it. That's all we see.
You idiot.
I think this may be a consequence of the time shortage to really just condense this season. Also, we're not spending that much time with Rhaena in general in this show, so why the hell would I care? At least Jace is getting some more screen time. At least I like what's going on with Jace. For me personally, a lot of the kids on the black side of the show, I just don't really give a damn. I find it hard. Jace is the most sympathetic child on Rhaenyra's side. And even then, he's barely on the damn screen. So having like the stretched out arc of Rhaena in the Vale, I just don't care at all whatsoever. It feels very lazy, very rushed, and with this condensed season, it just makes it worse. Stupid. Dumb, silly, dumb. Speaking of Jace, however, he walks through the castle of Dragonstone and overhears Hugh and Ulf chattering about. Ulf is being quite the cunt. He is an example of why Highborn looks so down upon people of the lower class. He disrespects Jace's personal space, interrupts him. Alright, the Ulf guy, he's a bit of an arrogant prick. He's gonna do something silly in the future. I just know it. I liked Ulf before, you know, I didn't really speak about him, but if you watch the episode yourself, Ulf was a bit of a silly goose over there in the tavern. But now his arrogance is out there for everyone to see. Silly boy. Silly boy. Corlys and Rhaenyra talk of dragons. He warns her of Helaena, but Rhaenyra almost laughs at the idea of Helaena riding a dragon. She's no warrior and doesn't even want to ride to begin with. Corlys dedicates his ship, though, to his late wife, no longer called the Sea Snake. Now his ship is called the Queen Who Never Was. He says, "What I do now, I do for her." What a nice, subtle character. Corlys, I love Corlys. I really like Corlys. I liked him from the first episode in that very first season. Like, that character, the whole vibe of his character, I loved from the beginning. After this whole series wraps up, I might do a series on, like, deep dives of these characters, like analysis videos, and it would be nice doing one on Corlys. He was a proud lord, a typical ambitious political figure, and yet he had a decent relationship with his wife. Sure, a bit late, but he did learn from his mistakes, and that is unlike a lot of these tragic characters in this world. And now he dedicates what he does to Rhaenys, as probably the only reason why he's still around Rhaenyra. If you remember, Corlys did not like Rhaenyra.
Even the death of my wife does not content her. And she not asked enough of my house.
And he still does not like Rhaenyra, but he is a polite, I guess. He doesn't like to outright speak ill, you know? He's very courtly, I guess. So now he's here for Rhaenyra because of Rhaenys. Rhaenys was dedicated to Rhaenyra. Sir Alfred Broom visits Daemon as he is preparing the Riverlords' troops. This guy isn't that important at the moment, but he was a part of Rhaenyra's council. He was one of the lords that resisted Rhaenyra's hesitation at the war table. Rhaenyra sent this guy to basically check up on Daemon. As far as she knows, Daemon has been AWOL this whole time. But he asks for a word in private. He asks for Daemon to essentially usurp Rhaenyra. Instead of being simply the king consort, he wants him to take charge as ruling king and have Rhaenyra by his side instead. We hear faintly "traitor" being whispered in the background. Even Broom hears it. This is Shakespearean, bro. I like this. I love the whole Harrenhal plot. I don't care what people say. I love the Harrenhal plot. During this conversation, Simon Strong eavesdrops. He seems rather concerned by the words coming out of Sir Broom's mouth. Alicent talks with Helena. She asks her if she ever thinks of leaving this place. After everything Helena has endured, she deserves to escape. In my humble opinion. Aemond enters the room. I think Aemond is actually scared now. With those new riders Rhaenyra has conjured up, Vhagar would be quite fucked if all those dragons ganged up on her. The poor grandma over there just getting beaten into the ground. Aemond demands Helena to mount up on her dragon, even getting a little physical. Helena obviously doesn't want to fight, and Alicent calls out Aemond for lashing out due to his own humiliation. You go, girl. Alicent, she's having enough of this. She goes to the Grand Maester herself and asks him to sneak her over to Dragonstone to meet up with Rhaenyra. Now just wait a second. Why are we doing this whole sneaking over business again? We already went through this episodes ago. If Alicent was going to sneak over to Dragonstone, fair enough. Her side is getting worse and worse and as time goes on. Why did we even need to have that scene with Rhaenyra and her in episode 3 to begin with? Why the hell did we need that? Feels like we're just repeating ourselves a little too much here, okay? I understand that Alicent needed to have that information that Rhaenyra had regarding Aegon's dream and all that stuff. I think they could have done it a bit cleaner, you know? Maybe have Alicent find out at this meeting, this coming up meeting. Because I find this one, Alicent leaving, to be much more reasonable. I find Rhaenyra sneaking off in episode fucking 3 to be ridiculous, in my opinion. Especially with how the season 1 ended, we see the pure hatred in Rhaenyra's eyes, and we were expected a little bit more oomph to Rhaenyra. But then she just sneaks off and talks to Alicent. That is the most egregious thing in this season, in my opinion. That church scene.
Shame. Shame.
I think if something similar happened, you remember in season 2 or book 2 when Littlefinger talks to Catelyn at why can't I remember his name? Renly. At Renly's camp. That meeting makes sense. If they just thought a little bit more, they could have had something similar happen there, you know? Or maybe just combined those two scenes. Have Alicent figure out that this whole thing has been a big misunderstanding at the same time as Alicent is talking to Rhaenyra. We'll get to that soon. I also feel like there is a possibility of Alicent. Otto is booted out, right? Otto's gone somewhere. Like, she doesn't know where Otto is. Alicent's been booted by her own council. She has no say anymore. No one is listening to her. I could see her being disillusioned just enough for her to sneak over to have a meeting with Rhaenyra without that episode 3 scene. I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels like they could have done it way cleaner than they did. Our homeboy, Gawain has gotten tired of Crispy Cole over here, banging his sister. He holds a sword up to Cole, and Gawain questions Cole, questions his value on his oath. The King's Guard takes a vow of chastity. After all, Cole banging the queen is 100% treason. Cole says he thinks nothing but his oath. And honestly, that's probably true. He's probably full of shame, and that's why he continues to commit these treasonous actions. He actually says something interesting here.
She saved my life. Twice. Once from the headsman's axe and once from myself.
We do finally get confirmation that it was Alicent that saved his life during his little outbreak at the wedding last season. That moment left a lot of question marks on how the hell Cole did not get executed. I'm glad we finally got some form of clarity there. Because I was about to say, without that very line, Season 1 had a lot of holes that Season 2 has, in my humble opinion, sure. Season 1's great, alright, but it had those extra 2 episodes to really draw things out. The Season 2's problems are very similar to Season 1's problems, in my opinion, hot take. However, because of how short Season 2 is, those problems that the writing has bubble up in a far greater detail than Season 1, okay? Season 1 has some weird moments, but overall is good. Season 2's weird moments. It's like a goddamn magnifying glass to it, okay? I think that's why a lot of people had issues with this season, even though a lot of the season is actually pretty damn good. We have a little bit of a mud wrestling. It's so funny seeing this posh, arrogant Lord of Westeros so out of his element. Lord Lannister is proving himself to the commander, which he is successful at, actually. Lord Tywin Lannister has won over the pirates. They will sail against Corlys in the blockade that's been a pest towards the Greens and King's Landing. Ulf indulges himself at dinner. You know, I don't know what I expected out of this doofus, but I at least enjoyed his company when he was a good-for-nothing peasant. Now he's a good-for-nothing peasant with a dragon. He's quite abrasive. At least Hugh Hammer and Adam has some damn manners. Ulf makes a fool out of himself in front of everyone. I have a bad feeling for the outcome of this guy. The dinner is cut short, though, by Rhaenyra getting word from Harrenhal. A note from Simon Strong. This mad lad actually warned Rhaenyra of treachery. What a loyal lad. This guy's an MVP, okay? MVP of the season for sure. I love Simon. Simon is great.
You're a good man.
I think we're finally having our final therapy session, and this is the most polarizing scene out of the season for me. I still don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I'll have an actual, like, genuine opinion about this scene until, yet again, we get clarification on what this entails later on. The magic runs at an all-time high. Daemon sees a fucking green man. Who the fuck is this? Look up green men in Game of Thrones or something. Those guys are deep in the lore and not the purpose of this video. Very cool though. Look it up if you're into the lore. Green men, Song of Ice and Fire. Cool lore stuff, okay? The witch lady speaks more riddles, but this time, Daemon doesn't make a jest or get angry. He is just silent, and she tells him that he is ready. Daemon places his hand on the tree and has a wild vision. He sees fucking Bloodraven. Doesn't even look the same. He doesn't even have much more of a book description of Bloodraven. He actually has the birthmark that he gets the nickname from. Like, he looks nothing like the TV show version. The TV show version on Game of Thrones, he just looked like a typical old guy.
It is time to go.
We see the death of the dragons. He sees fucking White Walkers. He sees his own death and Dany, Daenerys from the OG show.
Where are my dragons?
There is so much to unpack there. Like, what the? Polarizing. Okay, fucking polarizing. I think the big question, the fucking giant question here is why have this vision? They are going hard on this prophecy that Viserys was talking about last season. A prophecy that isn't true by the original show standards. The original show, you can make a loose argument that Jon and Dany had a part to play in the long run, but it was Arya Stark that stopped these White Walkers, okay? I feel so torn by this whole thing. If we know by the end of it, it was Arya Stark, not the Targaryens, not Jon. Jon's a Targaryen by show standards. If the show had any bit of a decent ending, I would think this vision was so badass, but my emotions are being pulled around when I know the ending is complete dog shit. I think I mentioned this problem in the first season as well. It says that they need a Targaryen in power to prevent the White Walkers from coming to wipe out the world. It's the Song of Ice and Fire. They keep bringing up the prophecy, and Viserys' knife specifically. We keep seeing that knife, which is the knife that Arya uses to kill the Night King. And as I am typing this script out, I realized an idea just popped up in my head, and it is the stupidest idea in mine. But with how Season 8 ended, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. Who knows how this ends, okay? I have way more faith in the writers, but this is like worst case scenario. I know how George loves twisting prophecies, right? That's like his thing. Every vision all the characters see throughout the story, they always misinterpret the vision, right? It's not always clear. They always twist it something, and it always ends. Most of the time, the downfall of that character is because they twist their own visions, right? That's a big thing in the books. Do you know how fucking stupid it would be if they somehow tried to connect this prophecy on the White Walkers and the Targaryens, the whole reason on invading Westeros, to that fucking knife? Like, this somehow correlates to Arya getting the knife and killing the Night King instead of the Targaryens. They were thinking like, oh, we are the guys, but no, they just need to get that knife into the hands of Arya Stark, not Jon Snow, not Dany, that damn knife. I don't think that's the case. It just popped up in my head as I'm typing this, and I thought it was funny. Okay, I swear to God if that's the case. The best outcome for all of this prophecy shenanigans, I think they're trying to hype up a reboot, in my humble, hopeful, optimistic opinion. That's the only way that can make sense to me. Otherwise, I just don't understand why to continuously bring up this whole like White Walker, the Stark guy at the very beginning of the season brought up, he was talking to Jace about it. He's like, hey man, you don't know what's going on out here. There's some spooky things beyond the wall. They constantly bring up something going on in the future. They constantly bring up the original show, which they don't need to do if they don't have any plans to continue, because House of the Dragon takes place 200 years before Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is completely separate from the original show. They don't need to constantly bring it up if they don't have plans later down the line. I think the best case scenario is a reboot. Please, for the love of God, be a reboot. Please. I don't know what they have planned. I'm just praying. Okay, we shall see, I guess. I sound like a fucking rambling madman. Look at what this show has done to me. Look at what this... Daemon also sees Rhaenyra on the throne in this vision. Then he hears fucking Helaena speak. She enters the vision.
How is that even possible?
Helaena, she tells him that this is all a story, which is meta as hell. She tells Daemon that he knows his part in this story. So Helaena is like uber connected to this magical dragon dreams. We all knew that she was connected, and she would be a little cryptic. She would cryptically tell future events in riddles, but this bitch did not drop a beat in this vision. She spoke damn clearly to Daemon. There was no riddle there, which brings up the question, like, how far does this go with Helaena, Things are getting weird here, bro. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I cannot tell you how I feel about it until further seasons and what they have planned with the series as a whole. Why have all of this stuff come up if they don't have plans, Then it cuts to Helaena. She's standing on a balcony. Aemond visits her, and he once again asks her to mount her dragon for battle. She tells him that she saw Daemon burn Aegon. She's a bit more clear with her language. Again here, she warns Aemond that Aegon will see victory and will sit on a wooden throne, and Aemond will be dead. Yeah, this is wild. All right, if this wasn't a finale, this wasn't a finale, this would be a wild fucking episode, but this is crazy. Rhaenyra rocks up to Harrenhal cautiously, not knowing what to really expect out of Daemon. Our cute little diva greets Rhaenyra outside. They go in to see a massive army that Daemon has at the ready. The man himself walks out. Look at these two. Yes, my love. I have found a great therapist. I'm back for your love, sweetness. He speaks to her in High Valyrian. Looks like he took a few philosophy classes, I say. He says that the war is only the beginning.
Sola Armasis.
He kneels for his queen, as do the army behind him. And Simon's reaction is exactly mine right now. He jumps up and hypes up the troops. Simon in the background clapping. That's literally me right now. My boy Simon. Look at him. He's so cute. Corlys again tries to reach out to Alan. Corlys says, I am trying to help you. And that finally breaks Alan. He asks Corlys if he knew what it was like for them, being sneered as bastards, being raised fatherless, being hungry, while watching Corlys walk past with his son and heir. Only after everyone else has died, Corlys recognizes Alan. Alan is rightfully angry at Corlys, only being seen after all the other heirs have died. It's messed up. Alan is an honorable man, so he'll serve Corlys, but that's it. And that's fair. Alan was done dirty. Oh god. I put this in the script. Oh god, I don't even remember her name. Rhaena finally finds her dragon. This whole arc could have been cut, and it would have done nothing to the plot. You could have cut every scene of Rhaena's, and it would have done nothing. I think this arc suffers the most because of the shortened season, as I've said. If we just gotten those 2 extra episodes, we would have at least, gotten some form of resolution. Stupid arc. Alicent finally arrives on Dragonstone. This time, Rhaenyra is the one resisting cooperation. We do have a nice moment between these 2 characters. I do understand why these scenes are here. However, this literally being the final episode makes it feel like we are just repeating ourselves. Alicent wants to leave with Helaena and live alone, but Rhaenyra says it's too late. Alicent, once again, biting at her fingernails. She wants to make a deal with Rhaenyra. Once Aemon leaves King's Landing with Vhagar, Helaena will be in charge, technically. That would be time to rock up, and Alicent says that she will make sure the men will lay down their arms and allow Rhaenyra to take King's Landing without resistance. She is forced to let her son Aegon go, though. Yeah, that's big for Alicent. Like, of course, she's a mother, right? And that's kind of part of her character. She's been fiercely loyal to her children. But Rhaenyra has to kill him in order to take the throne.
A son for a son.
And it's a solid dialogue scene, just like in the church, right? Alicent would be painted as a villain in the public, as someone who was grasping for power, and she's willing to let that be her legacy if it means that the war will end. Alicent does have a beautiful arc. She goes from somebody who is trapped by duty and her place in the system, and ends the season breaking away. I love that. This time the roles have reversed. Alicent is now the one who is free, and Rhaenyra is the one trapped by duty. We see it in the camera framing, the shelves symbolizing Rhaenyra's entrapment, similar to Alicent's dress in the first season, I might add. Put up the picture, the little blue dress with the links going down her arms. It was symbolizing her entrapment. And Alicent, this time around, looking out towards the horizon symbolizing her freedom. A lot of what's in this season is really good. It's just, it feels very distorted. It feels very too condensed. There's so much good here. It's just the reasoning why these 2 characters are here are just so silly. I feel like I will forgive Alicent's sneak into Dragonstone. I'll forgive it. But get rid of that church scene, and it's fine. I forgive it. Now we have a montage of everyone getting ready for war. Not much to really talk about besides this guy right here. Where have you been, sir? Oh, how I have missed you. We don't know who have imprisoned this man. Won't lie, that kind of came out of nowhere for me. I was not expecting to see Otto again at all this season. But that's it. That's the season. I actually liked this episode, but it was a terrible finale. I think these little problems I have complained about only worsen. I've said it again and again and again. I don't need to repeat myself. It feels like we are just repeating Season 1's finale, though. Season 1's finale was the anticipation for war, and that is literally how this finale ended. We know that war is about to happen. We know all these armies are going to collide. We have the Lannister army coming out of the Westerlands. We have the pirates coming out of the little pirate area. Forgot the name currently. We have Aemon being a little edgelord. We have Daemon's army in the Riverlands. We have a lot of moving parts, but because it's too short, we don't see that. Not to spoil too much, but yeah, there was definitely going to be a fat battle at the end of the season originally, and that would have solved a lot of problems in my opinion. It wouldn't have felt like we're just repeating ourselves. That's the main issue here. I'm not really blaming the workers on this show. I think the circumstances were just ass. I still enjoyed this season, however. It's solid. Now, after this, I have The Last of Us, Season 1, and then Season 2. We'll see what happens after I do that. I plan on doing the Night of the Seven Kingdoms once that's out. Maybe I'll do those character analysis videos or something, like I mentioned earlier. I don't know. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, though. It's been fun. I very much enjoy the style of content. But let me know what other shows you might want to see me cover. I definitely have a list currently. Like Breaking Bad is also one of my favorite series.
You're goddamn right.
Better Call Saul, definitely on my list.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. Did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do.
Eventually, when I feel like it, I will go through all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, God forbid.
And may God have mercy on your soul.
Shogun is an underrated one. I don't really hear a whole lot of people talk about on YouTube, but Shogun is a very good show. I would love to go through that at some point. But let me know. I have heard good news about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Hopefully that will be a solid entry. I love the Dunk and Egg novellas. If you haven't read them, highly recommend. Well, we have that coming up. But now I'm gonna go watch The Last of Us because that is such a good show. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.